Good morning, real estate investors, and welcome to the only podcast that is dedicated to helping as many people as possible set themselves free through real estate investing. I'm your host, Scott Jelinek, the founder of the Master Investor Academy and author of my best-selling book, Work Just Gets in the Way of Making Money, and my brand new book, The Art of the Slow Flip. For anybody who has not read The Art of the Slow Flip, I am giving you guys a free copy. Just pay the shipping and handling if you go to slowflip.com. That's slowflip.com, and I will get that right on out to you. So today we have a very interesting guest because this is almost going to work hand in hand with slow flips, or at least I believe it will. I'm going to learn this the same time you guys are. And this is similar to what we do. We create notes with slow flips, right? Well, what our guest today does is he actually buys notes and just does the same thing we do, where we become the bank with slow flips and we do passive income. He does the exact same process, but without the buying of the house. He just does buying the notes. So I'm excited to hear more about this. So I want to introduce you guys to Fred Moskowitz. How you doing, Fred? Welcome today.
Hello, Scott. Great to be here. Thank you for having me on today.
I am as interested in anyone to learn exactly what it is you do. And now I've heard about note buying over the years, but I know nothing about it. So if you don't mind, we'll start off with telling us a little bit about yourselves and then how you stumbled onto this in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really, really great. Note investing has there's so many different strategies, so many different ways to be involved in note investing. And so you and I are going to have a great conversation approaching it from different angles, right? So let's start out with this. What is note investing? Note investing is the idea of buying and owning notes, mortgage notes in particular, and being the lender on properties. A lot of people invest in all kinds of real estate, right? We got single family houses and commercial property, multifamily property, vacation rentals, but not too many people talk about investing in the paper. And the paper, it's the notes and mortgages associated with all of these properties. And I feel that it's a really interesting part of the real estate business. But so many real estate investors, they don't pay any attention to it at all. And most investors, when they think of a note and a mortgage, they think about it from the perspective of being the borrower and not as being the lender. But with note investing, it allows you to step across the aisle and become the bank. And so this is a great way I've found to increase the predictability and stability of your cash flow. And this is a business that has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? Banks and lending institutions extend credit, they lend money, and that money is backed and is secured by an interest in the property, which is a lien on title in the property. And so no matter what happens, the lender's always in a secure spot. And there is a tangible asset backing your investment. And that's one of the things I love about note investing is that you're investing in something, it generates cash flow for you. You can buy them at a discount, and you're investing in something that has downside protection because it's backed by collateral.
I have so many questions, Fred, but I want to start off with, how long have you been doing note investing, and were you doing regular real estate prior to that? And how do you move in that direction?
Yeah, absolutely. I started investing in real estate about 20 years ago, investing in rental properties and building a rental portfolio. And after a number of years through my education in the real estate space, I kept hearing about note investing, and I would read about it a little bit in books where, from the perspective of an investor that sells a property and carries back a mortgage, they do owner financing as part of the transaction, right? That's very common to hear about that. But what happened was, through some relationships that I had in the investment community, I had the opportunity to buy bank originated loans that were being sold on the secondary market, right? As we all know, the secondary market, loans are bought and sold every single day. And undoubtedly, just about every single person or someone you know has been through this experience where you go, let's say you buy a property or maybe you refinance a property, you take out a new loan, and within 1 to 6 months after closing, you get this letter from the bank saying, "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, please be advised your loan has been sold to a new lender. Here's their contact information. Here's their telephone number. And starting next month, please begin making your payments to the new lender."
And
And
sometimes even multiple years later, I get one of those letters
yeah,
that
can
there's
happen
a
at
new lender, right?
exactly. It can happen at any time. And for the borrower, you have no say in the matter. You can't control that. But the interesting thing is the lender always adds this language in those letters. It says, "Don't worry, none of the terms of your loan will change. The interest rate's the same, the payment amount's the same, all remaining the same." Because in reality, that's a legal contract that you signed. That
Right.
note and mortgage are legal documents. And so the new lender that bought that loan, they have to adhere to everything that was in those loan documents.
So would
And
these just be private mortgages, or you would do ones that went through a mortgage company as well, if for your business being a note buyer?
no, it can be either one. I focus on loans that are originated by banks and lending institutions. So, yeah, the mortgage brokers and the large banks that originate them.
So you're not
But it can
focusing on
be,
owner finance houses from a
n-
seller. You're going for the ones that actually went through a mortgage company.
yeah, that's the area I specialize in. But I know plenty of other note investors that they do specialize on those owner finance deals.
See, I had
Uh,
this all turned around in my head. I thought that was the business. I thought you were seeking
it can
an
be.
but I didn't even know there was an opportunity for the bank ones.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah,
so that
I'll
is
tell you,
interesting.
Scott, if you go on Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac's website, they publish as part of the public record their quarterly sales for the last quarter of all the loans that they've sold. And I mean, these are in huge, huge pools of loans with thousands and thousands of loans, but they're sold. And then those loans get bought, they get put into mortgage backed securities and other products that sit there for a few years. And then at the end of the time, that product gets broken down and all the loans get resold again. And that's why you'll see it might be years later that
Another one, yeah.
that loan gets sold again. Yeah.
So now do you have to buy a big pool of them, or you're able to buy one mortgage or two mortgages?
Both. It just depends on the level you're you're operating at. If you can buy loans in pools, and pools can be in any size. It can be 5 loans, it can be 50 or 500. It comes down to the amount of capital you have and how much volume you can handle as an investor. Also, you can buy individual loans, right? I've done that plenty of times, especially buying notes in my IRA. I seek to always be doing deals in my self-directed IRA, and so a lot of those they might be 1 or 2 loans that I bought at a time, and so there's room for every level at this business for sure.
So now I'm trying to understand the whole process. So how is the money made? You must be buying the note at a discount then.
Correct.
And
Loans
so
are typically sold at a discount. Yes,
how does that work? What kind of discounts is a note? So I mean, I know it probably varies, but I'm just
it
curious. A
does.
bank loaned 100 grand at
Yeah,
8% or whatever. How do you buy it? They already loaned the 100. So
they
how do they
did.
sell it at a discount?
The reason, yeah, and this is something I talk about in my book about note investing is why do banks sell loans? So banks will originate a loan and start collecting the payments. They may collect payments for 6 months and then turn around and sell that loan at a discount. And so the banks, the origination companies, the mortgage brokers, they make their money up front. There's fees that are charged and all of this. And they collect a couple of months worth of payments. And if you think about an amortization
It's
schedule,
all interest.
it's
Yeah.
all interest. So
Yep.
the loan balance really didn't have a significant decrease at all. And so they make their money through doing that in high volume, very high volume, right? A lot of these institutions, they don't hold on to a single loan because their business model is high volume, recapitalize through selling the loans, and then they'll turn around the next day and originate a new loan for someone else and start the whole process over again. And so that's what happens. But as far as the discounts moving later on down in the process, what happens is that loans may not stay in the how they're graded according to their characteristics
Right.
and the strength of the borrower and all of that. And so that will change. It's a little dynamic. And over time, um, there might be some issues that come up, like maybe there were some missed payments along the way. It's less than stellar track record on the payment history, or the value of the property changed. It could have gone up or down and affected the equity position of the loan. That impacts the pricing and the discounts. Um, and so there's all of these scenarios that come up. Um, and we've seen it all the time. Borrowers may get behind on payments for one reason or another, and then later they get caught up again because whatever situation that happened in their lives was temporary and they've moved beyond that. But now the loan has, think of it as a blemish. And so that impacts the pricing on it. And so you see a lot of these different trends, and sometimes discounts come about due to liquidity needs of whoever's selling that loan. Someone needs to recapitalize quickly. Maybe they have a new deal they're going to get into and they want to sell some loans quickly. They'll discount it heavier. And so as far as the amount of the discount, it's all across the board.
What about
Yeah.
the amount of the return? What is a typical, forgetting a discount, but like a typical return? You invested in your IRA, so you're not
Yep.
paying taxes on it, and you
Mhm.
put out 100 grand. What kind of annual return would you say you'd get on it?
It's
Obviously
going to
varies
vary.
as well, right?
Yeah, it's going to vary on how much risk are you comfortable with? What's your risk tolerance? There's no right or wrong answer for this. It's different for each person. And so, um, if you have a super safe loan with a beautiful property and everything's perfect, every single box is checked on this, you might be looking at a 4, 5, or 6% rate of return. Now, if you're willing to take on more risk, let's say maybe there's some the payment history is not perfect, or there's some issues with the loan. Maybe there's missing documents, or there's a title issue that needs to be cleared up, or um, the borrower was in bankruptcy at some point in the past. Um, there could be any number of complexities and things that come up that will impact the pricing, and you can negotiate a better discount. Maybe you're buying a loan that's a hard money loan, right? This is real popular in the real estate investment community. Hard money lenders, they sell loans all the time as well. So if you're willing to take on some of these more out of the box scenarios, now your rate of return, instead of being 4, 5, or 6%, it starts to crank up to 7, 8, 9, 12% and up. And these are all different scenarios. And it's like anything else, as you get more experience as an investor and you're more comfortable with solving problems, you can take on a little more risk because you have the wherewithal to handle it. You know how to solve problems, you get better at it. And that's how we grow and evolve as an investor. And I think this goes for any type of asset class,
Yeah.
right? I always recommend to people, if you're starting out in note investing, stick with notes that are not complicated, that they're strong, they're low risk. Maybe you invest in a note fund where the fund manager is doing a lot of the hands-on day-to-day management and paying out rate of return to their investors, that's also a great option for someone that maybe doesn't have experience or they're not comfortable, they're learning the business. It's a great way to start. I see many note investors start out getting involved in the business by investing in a note fund, or they invest only in super safe notes for a time just to get accustomed to the business, to learn the ins and outs. And then over time, you can grow and evolve as an investor and start looking at some more complicated deals and be comfortable with a little bit of a higher risk profile.
And the fact that you said you're buying from, mortgage company type notes, that to me means you're not actually servicing them. They're going through a note servicer, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so
We,
you are
we,
completely passive. Like, I love slow flips and what we do, and it is semi-passive, but not completely passive. What you're doing
mhm.
is completely passive. So somebody who didn't want to be actively, they're not even doing collections, they're not doing anything. Now, if somebody was to default, does the foreclosure process or any of that go on your shoulders, or is that all handled already through the
That's
process
up
via
to
the
each.
servicer?
Yeah, that's up to each investor how they want it, how they want to handle that. Loan servicers are vital vendor for us. It's not always required that you use one. I like the idea of always using one. That's just me.
That's the only way it's completely passive.
In
You're
in in
completely out of it, right?
and in some states, it's actually required by state law that all loans have to be serviced by a licensed loan servicer. So you have some compliance around that. But it's really, think about this: a loan servicing company is the same way that a property manager manages a rental property on behalf of the owner. The servicing company manages the note on behalf of the lender. And this is what allows someone to really scale and grow a big portfolio of notes, because the servicing company is doing all the day to day. They're taking the phone calls from the borrower, they're collecting the payments, they're keeping track of the amortization schedule. If a loan's going to get paid off, they will generate the payoff quote, coordinate with the title company to do all that stuff, send out the end of year tax returns. They send out any compliance notices or letters that have to be sent out. And all of this for a very reasonable cost. Typically, what I've seen from servicing companies, they charge between $15 and $30 a month per note. And so that's very reasonable. And the service they provide is very, very valuable. And it's what allows a note investor to really scale their business.
So I have a question for you, which you may or may not know the answer to. On the flip side of, you are a note buyer, but do you know anything about, like, if we had homes that we sold with owner financing, do you know anything about us selling the notes, or how that or you just know the buy side, or do you know how we would do that if we were interested in selling our notes to a note buyer ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of this is handled through personal relationships. Um, that's what I always recommend people that ask me, Fred, how do we find notes to buy? And it's all about building relationships. You attend conferences and events that are specific to the note investing industry. You build relationship with note funds that buy notes, that sell notes, investors. A lot of transactions are handled this way. It's through relationships. And so, absolutely, there are plenty of note buyers looking for notes out there, and sellers of notes selling notes as well. It's both ways, but it's really a relationship based business for sure.
Fred, you mentioned earlier, and pardon if my internet's messing up. I see it coming and going, but you mentioned earlier something about your book. Can you
Mhm.
tell us about the book? And I didn't know
Yeah,
anything about it, and you made mention of it, and so I'd like to hear more about it.
yeah. Thank you. My the book I wrote is called "The Little Green Book of Note Investing." It's available on Amazon. And this book provides a really nice high level overview of the note investing arena. It talks about the note, why are notes sold? Why do banks sell notes? It talks about how to analyze notes, how to find notes to buy, how to perform due diligence, so you can really get through and make sure everything is to your liking, how to manage a portfolio and build that. We talk about how to invest in notes using retirement account funds, which is a great source of capital.
That to
I
me is the
always tell
best. If
tell
you can do it
people, no,
tax free, that's the way to do it.
yeah, absolutely. Note investing requires a lot of capital. It's a capital intensive business. And so, an often underlooked area source of capital is retirement account money. And a lot of people have idle cash sitting in their retirement account, or they left a retirement account sitting at their old employer and it's not doing anything. And I always tell people, pay attention to that and make sure you know where all your accounts are and make sure they're working for you as best as possible. So these are all different strategies that talk about in the book. But for someone that wants to learn more, someone that wants to decide whether they're better off investing in notes individually or maybe investing in a note fund as a passive investor is a better option for you. We talk all about that and how to evaluate that for yourself, because as I said, there's no right or wrong answer. Each It's a very personal decision, and for each person, you have to see and think about how much time do you have. Do you want to be active in the business and dedicate the time, or maybe you're a busy professional, you're working and focus on your career, or you're a business owner focusing on growing your business and you don't have a lot of time. However, you like the idea of note investing as an asset class. You see the power that it has, that it affords us, and so that could be another consideration to keep in mind as well.
So, it seems to me, and I'm going to get this book. I think that's probably the right place to start to even learn about it. But it seems to me, for myself and for all these people that are active real estate investors, we make our money in the active real estate investing industry, but then we can invest that money that we make passively with a note servicer in notes
Yeah.
and have it compound with, still making our money in real estate, but then investing the money that we made into the notes.
Yeah, and it helps diversify your cash flow. And I see this a lot. People grow a big real estate portfolio, and all their money is in that. And I always love the idea of talking about diversifying a little bit, getting into some other areas. And notes are a great way to do that. It's still related to real estate, but it's removed enough where you have some diversity in your income and cash flow.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. So tell me the name of the book once again. The
Yeah,
Little Green Book.
The Little Green Book of Note Investing.
The
You can
Little
find
Green
it.
Book of Note Investing. Okay, and it's on Amazon. I'm going to do it as soon as I get off with you. I'm going to order a copy. I'm interested to read it because that's something I've been hearing about for years. And there's been people that come in and out of town and did trainings, and I've never attended one, but I'm always curious about what exactly note investing involves and how it works. And so what exactly do you do besides, I know you wrote a book and I know you do note investing.
Yeah.
Do you do training for people? Do you coach? Do you have an end of the business that's training or involved with the teaching of the note business?
Yeah, I do. I do quite a bit of speaking and education aspect of it. I mean, I'm always focused on that as well, and I really enjoy it. I find it very rewarding. But my main focus is the investing, uh, buying and building a portfolio of notes. And I always love talking with other investors and sharing different concepts and ideas. But that's the main focus. So with note investing, it's about relationships is one of the most important aspects of this business. And I've found that not only in note investing, but investing in general, it seem like the best opportunities, the best deals seem to come through relationships, through someone
Always.
through an
My whole business
introduction.
is that's
Yeah,
all 100%.
it's so powerful. And so I always stress this point, like get good at the art of building relationships with people. It's going to serve you well no matter what you do.
Yep. So barring barring buying your book and learning that way, if somebody was interested in note investing, wanted to learn more, how does somebody find you, follow you, see your stuff?
Yeah.
Are you on YouTube, or how would what's the best way for somebody to get some research on you and see what it is that you're teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Best way to connect with me is to visit my website. Certainly check out my book, but you can visit my website, which is fredmoskowitz.com. And if you prefer a little bit of an easier spelling, you can go to giftfromfred.com. It will take you right to my website. And once you're there, you can connect with me. You can request, I have a special report I'm happy to send out, share with anyone that wants it by email, talking about note investing, giving you a little more of an overview into it. And always enjoy connecting with people, building relationships. I feel it's so important. One more thing, if you prefer, you can also text me by texting the keyword money to the phone number 215-461-4433, and then just following the prompts and connecting with me that way. But I always look forward to hearing from investors and building new relationships, because that's what business is all about for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it was giftfromfred.com.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to check it out. So, do you have any parting words, Fred? Somebody thinking about this, or just general words of wisdom? What do you want to share before I let you go?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I do have something I'd like to share and leave everyone with this thought. Um, I, I'm from Philadelphia, right? And so I always love looking back to one of our founding fathers of this country, and that is Benjamin Franklin. And he left us with this amazing quote that I love so much. And that goes like this: an investment in knowledge always pays the highest dividends. And so, what does that mean? That means that one of the best things we can do is invest in ourselves, invest in your education, in your knowledge. It's something that no one can take away from you. You could lose all of your money, all of your material possessions, but the knowledge that you have up here, it stays there.
Yeah.
And so always be seeking to attend events and conferences and workshops, read books, listen to great podcasts, take courses. I always tell people, put it as a line item in your annual budget for yourself. Like, how much are you investing in your growth and your education? Because that investment will pay many times over in the new skills, the new abilities, and the relationships that you build as a result.
I've had people say, "Oh, they can't afford to," and I'm like, "Well, that means you can't afford not to. You have to invest in yourself. It's the
Yeah.
number one thing to invest in." So before I let you go, Fred, I want to tell you one of my favorite quotes from Benjamin Franklin was, and you can tell I like to drink beer, but he says, "Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy." That was always one of my favorites. I was like,
Wow.
all right, yeah, he's got a lot of great quotes, but that was perfect what you said there. So thank you, Fred. Thank you for coming on. I am going to order your book right now because I am legitimately interested in note buying myself. I've been interested in it for a while. And so I'm going to buy your book and take that as a first step to figure out where we go from there. I thank you for coming on. I greatly
Thank you.
appreciate it. And I will check you out when I'm in Philly. I'm up there every now and then. So
Great.
thank you for coming on, and you have an
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic day.
Thank you, Scott.